Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hey, so let me just take a minute, and as we get started, let me give you an idea a little bit about how this week is going to sort of unfold a little bit in the morning podcast. And I think what we want to do is try to reframe the morning podcast in a way that gives us a little bit more of a bolt of energy, if you will. So I think what we're going to do is call it more of a let's get started. And I think when we have that thing about let's get started, now we're doing, right? And we always want to be doing once we are done with deciding. But I think we get kind of confused between what we're deciding and whether we're doing, right? So this week, we're going to cover a bunch of stuff that's really going to help you figure out, why do we get stuck financially? Why do I get stuck financially? I feel like I'm stuck, and it's like I don't know what to do. And I'm looking at my money, I'm looking at my bills, I got to feed the family, and I got to pay this, and I got to pay that. And what happens is we get into this pattern, and all of a sudden it's like we're just stuck, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it real, and I'm going to just walk through how this works, because every day what I want to do is I'm going to give you a little hack. And so we're going to call the morning podcast, Let's Get Started. And that way we know we're doing, right? We're going to be doing. 5 of the ways that you can tell you're stuck financially is when you start thinking in something that you're going to do, and you get excited and you say, all right, let's go, right? Or you say, what next? Or maybe you say, how's it work? Or maybe you say, what do I do? Or maybe you're saying, where am I? And these are all little signs, because we get a little bit excited, and we think what's going to happen is we're going to get something, and we're going to be able to turn this around. You ever have that feeling where you wake up and you've been thinking about the money thing, and all of a sudden something hits you, and you get this, maybe this idea, and you feel like, wow, okay, now I'm going to turn this around, right? And what happens, only to find out a little bit down the road, maybe a week, maybe a month, I don't know, some amount of time, things are starting to break down again, right? And it's not working, or then you discover it's not what you really thought it was going to be, and how you were going to maybe turn it around. And we get into this pattern of thinking we're going to turn it around, and what happens is it causes us to be more confused. And so we jump in, we're got, amped up, we're ramped up, we're ready to go, we're all excited, and we say, let's go. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to turn it around. And the thing is that we're coming from a position of not real opportunity, but rather from maybe our only opportunity. And that's really what we're thinking. And we need something to turn it around, right? And then we're left even more frustrated. We're left even more disappointed. Maybe we paid, some money for this thing, or maybe some money for that thing, and it didn't turn out to be what we thought, and now we're even more frustrated. And it's just one of these big things that we do, and it's a sign. These are little signs that we're stuck. I've been stuck. I hate being stuck. And when it comes to being stuck financially, nobody wants to be stuck financially. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to show you how these 5 statements work. Let's go. What next? How's it work? What do I do? And where am I? These are signs we're stuck. And I'm going to show you how that works. I'm going to show you how to get unstuck financially. The other thing is, we look at our relationship with our money from a different perspective, right? We're in it. Right? It's our money. It's our deal. It's our family. We got kids to feed. We got rent to pay or mortgage to pay. And all this crap starts piling up in our brain. And what happens is all of a sudden it just seems like all of it is just overwhelming. and then we can't move or we don't move, right? So we got to figure out what's that relationship. What kind of money personality are we exercising? Because we can be in any one of a number of these. We can be the saver, we can be the spender, we can be the seeker, the gambler or risk taker, we can be the giver, or we can be the flyer. And so each of these personalities trigger this emotional state that we're in. And when it comes to money, it gets really amped up. And we don't maybe realize it at the moment, but the thing that's happening is we are really stuck. So this week we're going to talk about how that works. And I'm going to give you a hack every day so that you can identify precisely, I'm stuck and that's okay. And now how do I get unstuck, right? What's that next step? So we'll just keep it real and we'll do that. So with your permission, what we're going to do is we're going to get started. And that's what we're going to start doing and calling the morning podcast. Let's get started, right? Let's do something. And every day we're going to do something. Okay, are we ready? Let's dig in. When we get that feeling and emotion of let's go or I'm going to turn it around, I got to tell you, and I'm telling you from my experience and working with thousands of people over the many years that I've been helping people with huge, big ugly tax problems. This is a sign that our relationship with time and our relationship with money may need some attention. In other words, maybe we need to look at it from a different point of view. Not a better, look, here's the thing about words. If something's good, that has to mean something is bad. If something is right, then something has to be wrong. What I'd like to do is kind of neutralize those words and just use words like maybe it's different. Maybe we need to look at things from a different perspective, not a right perspective, not a wrong perspective. But our relationship with time is a reflection of our relationship with money. So I'm going to give you a hack today so that you'll know when you're stuck and you're feeling that, oh, yeah, let's go, man. I'm ready. I'm amped up. I'm ramped up. I'm ready to jump in. I'm in it to win it. I'm going to turn it around. This is your brain lying to you. And so my brain lies to me a lot, right? And what we've got to do is we've got to get real and we've got to understand that it's not about turning it around, okay? That's not going to work. And that's why we get disappointed. And that's just bullshit. I mean, it's just like there is nothing worse to think that you're doing something that's going to work. And then 3 weeks later, it's like it broke down and it ain't, not only is it ain't working, it's worse, right? And that sucks. So in other words, when we're going 100 miles an hour and we're going in a dozen different directions, it's not out of any sense of real opportunity, but it's a breakdown. And really what's going on, it's like we feel like there's no other opportunity. And it's like our last chance to turn things around. And that feeling is terrible. It sucks. So what we've got to do is we've got to recognize it's going to happen. It's an emotion. It's a feeling. Doesn't make it true. Doesn't make it any sense of reality. It's real. I get that. But it doesn't make it true. What it makes it is we're human beings being human. We've got these things going on. And it's this emotion in this pattern, right? And we have these patterns. I gave you some examples last week. We have an eating pattern. We have a sleeping pattern. We have a pattern when we're going to work. We usually go the same way at the same time, have the same traffic jam, blah, blah, blah. We get the same latte at the same Starbucks. We get into these patterns, all right? Money is one of the areas where we get deep into patterns, right? It's not that we're doing things right or wrong. It's just maybe we're doing some things that aren't working. And we've got to look at things from a different standpoint, not to fix it, but to deal with it, to do something. And so that's where I think we can really take a big step and we can really figure out what is going on and how do we take the next step. Because when you get into that mindset, and you tell yourself, oh, this time's different, this time I'm going to turn it around, and this time I'm going to be debt free and blah, blah, blah. I got to tell you, you're setting yourself up to be 3 weeks from now a little bit disappointed. So we've got to identify when we're feeling these things and know that they're little signals that maybe we need to look at something a little bit differently in doing that. So let me tell you a little bit about how this works. I'm going to use a story about a client named John. And John was one of these clients that we had that back in the day that it just seemed like he was on this big wheel, like the dead hamster, right? And it just seemed like about every 2 or 3 years, John would come back and he'd have another problem financially. He'd have another tax problem financially. And this time it was a little bit bigger than the last time. And this time it was even more behind. And this time the IRS was less willing and his creditors were less willing to work out any plan. What we did is we took a completely different approach. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit of that story with you all week this week and giving you these hacks and these techniques. Because for me, this is really where it turned around for me professionally, where I could really do something and help people understand there is a way to do this, but we got to do it from a different perspective, right? We don't have to do things right, and we don't have to do things wrong. We just look at doing things in a different way. And the one thing that I think that is so cool about this is you already know how to do this, but maybe somebody hasn't been able to connect the two pieces together for you, and maybe you get confused, right? And so what we want to do is we want to stay in a state of awareness, not confusion. And when we feel confused, we want to get out of that so we can move forward and be doing something. This whole notion about turning things around is really out of a sense that maybe we don't have another shot. Maybe it won't get better, right? And then all of a sudden we start feeling, maybe a little bit anxious, maybe a little depressed, maybe it's, oh my God, how do I handle this? What you've got to do is really take a step back and at least one day do that one thing that says, I'm here, okay? Wherever here is, that's an important step. And the reason why it's important is that you at least can assess and measure where you are right now, okay? It's not about good or bad. It's just about where are we? Where are we is sort of a guidepost, because anything that we do is going to be measured in the context of where we are right now. And before we jump in it to win it, and before we get excited and we say, all right, let's go. Let's go is like jumping off the cliff without a chute, man. And gravity takes over and then bam, you hit the ground. So we don't want to be doing that. What we want to do is we want to do things that are real, things that work, and things that get us to the next step. And so step one is really taking that picture. Maybe it takes you 20 minutes. Maybe it takes you an hour. I don't know. It takes whatever it takes. But you sit down and you figure out where I am financially. And the best way to do that is like use one of those worksheets that we have up in the group. Just count out all the things that you have and all the things that you owe. And let's just take that picture, right? And then from that, we do the same thing in terms of the money that we have every day, every week, every month. We've got to figure that out. And all we're doing is really trying to figure out, where am I, right? That's all we're trying to do, is just figure out, where am I? Because before you know where you want to be, you have to know where you are. That's your starting point. Just like if you're going on a trip or a vacation, or you're going down to the market, you got to know you're at the house, you're going to the market, and you're going to go this way, and that's your map and your little road map. And you kind of navigate through all of that, and it gives you the chance to really understand the journey, right? The journey that we're going. And I think what happens is we get all this energy and this emotion wrapped up And we think that this time's going to be different. And it's sort of like that cartoon with the Peanuts cartoon, Charlie Brown and Lucy, right, with the football. It's like, I remember watching that as a kid, and every year that dumb Charlie Brown is holding the football, and bam, Lucy's holding the football, and he's going to kick the football, and then he lands on his back. And you get the feeling like you're Charlie Brown. It's just going to be the same, right? Well, it is. And the reason that it is because we're doing the same thing. We've developed a pattern. We've developed a pattern that's not working. Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It just means it's not working. And so what we need to do is we need to maybe tweak the pattern to try something different that we'll maybe see if that will work, because we'll get a different outcome, right? We measure things in terms of goals, right? And we measure things in terms of results, right? What I'm going to suggest is let's try something different. Let's try measuring things in terms of outcomes, because an outcome is you're there, not you're going. You've arrived. You're already there. That's you staking the claim. Remember last week when we talked about staking the claim? When you say I'm there, that means you're there. So now we've got to work back and figure out that there. And in doing that financially, it's actually pretty simple. What gets in the way are these statements or these things that we say to ourselves, and we think or believe, and then the happy juice in our brain goes off, and we start feeling good because this time we're going to turn it around. And then we get caught in the pattern again, and it's not turning around, and we get more frustrated. I get that, and I get how that works, and I've gone through it, so I know. I'm not just giving you puff and bluff. I've been through it. I've got a story. You've got a story. We all got a story. I think the difference is, what do we do with the story that we've got, the people that we are, and figure out the life that we want to live financially. And if we've got some patterns that aren't working, maybe it's time to do an assessment. Maybe it's time that we look at the pattern, and maybe it's time we tweak it and do something a little bit different. Are we the spender? Are we the saver? Are we the gambler, the risk taker? Are we the seeker? Are we the giver or the flyer? These are personality traits in relation to money and time, and each one of those has a pattern. And we can identify with one of those that's going to be a predominant pattern. In other words, it's going to be the one that sort of guides the process. Doesn't make them good or bad, makes them what they are, but at least we have information, and we can see some of the things that we're doing by the patterns that are reflected in how we relate with our time and how we relate with our money, okay? So what I'm going to do every day, and we're going to call this now, this morning podcast, Let's Get Started. Because getting started is doing, right? We got ready, we got up, and now we're getting started. And then getting started is doing. We're done deciding. We're going to have the financial life we desire, but we're going to get started every day doing that, moving forward, right? When we're going backward, the only thing that we should be going backward for is to reflect on an experience and the takeaway that the experience gave us. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It either worked or it didn't work. And if it's not working, we don't do it. We do something else. Easy to say, and sometimes it is a bit of a challenge to put in practice, but that's why I'm here. I'm going to be here Monday through Friday, and then we got the gig thing that we do on Saturday. We're going to give you ways that you can take what you've already got, the talents that you possess. I'm going to tell you, there is nothing more powerful in the universe than a human being with purpose, right? A human being with purpose is the most powerful force. The innovation, the idea, the energy, just the raw power of being able to just go out and just kick ass, take names, and do it, right? So we're about doing. We're not about deciding. We've already decided. Financial freedom is ours, right? We've just now got to figure out how to make it work. And it's going to be a little bit different for everybody. So every morning when you join me on Let's Get Started, you're going to know we're ready to get started. we're already done deciding. We're going to take a step forward. We're going to do something. I'm going to give you a hack for the day. You're going to put it into practice. You're going to see how it works. And if it doesn't work, don't do it. And we'll give you another one. But at some point, it won't go 5 days. I'm going to give you one of those hacks, and it's going to work. And you're going to have, bam, that aha moment. You got it. And now it's working. And you're getting ahead. You're moving forward. And that's the energy that we're going to capture. That's the energy that's going to be the powerful force. And that's going to give you the purpose, right? The purpose that you know you've done this before and you're going to do it again. We're just ramping it up a little bit. We're going to up our game. Remember, when you're feeling average, just, yeah, it's all right. I'm average. But you know what? We're going to raise our average a little bit every day. We're just going to increase a little bit more of that average. That's the difference between a ball player hitting 250 and one hitting 325. The difference is one's hitting a higher average and making about 7 million more a year, hitting 325 instead of 250. So let's make 7 million a year. Let's raise our average, and let's do that, because that we can do. When you say, I'm going to turn it around, I'm going to tell you, I lived for 3-4 years. I mean, my story, it just sucked. 3 or 4 years. That's all the hell I did was turning it around. And you know what? Nothing turned around. Not a damn thing. The only thing that got turned around was me. I was upside down. I was so far down that down was up. So I've been there, and I got confused, and I know what that looks like. I know what it feels like. But I got to tell you, I've seen this work in ways that would just blow your mind. Take a step carefully forward, knowing that when you feel you're going to turn it around, that's going back. That is not going forward. We're stepping forward. And every day we're going to get started, we're going to do, because we've already decided. And that's how we frame it, okay? All right, last thought. As we go through the week, we're going to be pushing some more stuff up into the group on the file section and the video section, and I'll put some posts out there. We've got some people that are in the group that have offered to help, and we're going to engage and do some work with them, and we're all going to work out a deal, and they're going to help us get ahead of some of the technology parts. You know, I'm technically challenged as a boomer. It's just like this stuff just confuses me. So I'm not going to get stuck. We're going to get people that know how to make that work, and we're going to get some other things in place this week, so it's kind of cool. What we want to do is every morning give you real stuff, right? Real stuff. And real stuff that you can apply, real stuff that you can do, and real steps that you can take. If we can keep that real and we can do that, and this stuff starts working, in a couple of weeks and you start seeing things actually are looking different for you, that's what it's about. And that's what we're doing. And so at the end of the day, when you get it in your head that, okay, this time is different, I'm going to turn it around. No, 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 no. That's like the devil talking to you. Do not listen to the devil. That is the devil. That is going to get you confused. You can't turn it around going back. You can't. What we can do is do something different going forward. And that's what we're doing every day with Let's Get Started. Does that sound cool? All right. Have an awesome day. Text me if you need something. Hit me a text, whatever. You've got my contact. If you need some direction, you want a tool, whatever, if there's one thing that you need to take that next step today, hit me up and I will get it to you, and I'll do whatever it takes to help you make that work. I'm here. My team is here. We're all here to help you and help each other build a community about doing shit. We're not going to decide anymore. We're going to be doing, and we will do it every day. We'll get started and we'll do a little bit more. Have an awesome, awesome day. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm excited. This is going to be an exciting week because you're going to get some real cool shit this week. Have an awesome day. See you later. Take care.